I'm going to be talking about the by far most important concept that you are going to be using. This is a concept that you will be using every single day, every single moment of your trading journey. And this is a concept that drives the entire market. Now, before we start, I want to ask you a very simple question. Anything in the world today that exists, which has a price, which you can purchase or which you can sell, what drives the price of that? And the answer is very simple. If you know basic economics, anything that has a price today, the price is decided by the supply and the demand of that particular thing. So if there's a very expensive watch which is around $300,000, but nobody is ready to buy it at that price, eventually the price is going to drop. That does not make the watch any less valuable, but the price is what I'm talking about. Supply and demand is what controls the entire market around the world. And this is what drives the price. Now imagine if I could tell you that you can identify where the supply is and where the demand is. And that is what we call support and resistance. Let's get to the chart, guys. So if you look at any chart, you will see that there are certain areas, there are certain levels where the price goes, but for whatever reason, the price loves to bounce back from there. Now, is this a coincidence? Absolutely not. Let's take an example right here. So if you look at this particular zone right here, the green area that I've drawn, this zone, if you look at it, what has happened? So the price has came here once, got back, twice, gone back, thrice, 4 times, and 5th time. It is the 5th time the price has came here and the price is not ready to go below there. In the most common sense, what does this indicate? This indicates that there are buyers sitting at that particular level. There is demand sitting at that particular level. The market thinks that the cost of Ethereum is cheap. The cost of Ethereum is affordable when it comes to this particular zone. And that's why whenever it comes here, people want to buy Ethereum and drive the price higher. Now, let's talk about the counterpart of support. So this zone where you can see clear demand, where you can see that people are wanting to buy, where you can see that the price is being pushed up again and again and again, this is what we call a support region because the price is taking support from that level, right? The counterpart of this is something called as resistance, where the price is trying to go up, but the price is being pushed back down again and again, which basically tells us that there is supply in this particular zone. There are sellers sitting in this particular zone who are waiting to sell. Maybe whenever the price is coming up, the sellers think that the price is too expensive and it is good enough to sell Ethereum. So you look at it, what has happened. Once, twice, thrice, 4 times, 5 times, 6 times. 6 times the price of Ethereum has touched that level and eventually come down. So this, if you learn how to read this, you will be able to enter in certain areas which are going to give you very, very profitable moves. Now just imagine, guys, let me give you a scenario. Now just imagine every single time the price came to support and you bought, and every single time the price went to resistance and you sold, how much money would you have made? Just look at this. So let's say I bought here, price went up, I sold here. Price came back, I bought here, I sold here. Price came down, I bought here, I sold here. Price came down, I bought here, maybe it will go back up. But 1, 2, 3, maybe 4, 5, 6 successful trades which could have made you money by this one simple concept. And this is exactly what you need to learn. This is what you need to understand. You need to identify where there is a support zone, where there is a resistance zone, and then eventually everything else is just understanding and reading price, which is where you're going to use the imbalance of power, the strength and momentum, the volumes and all the other concepts, right, which I'm going to be talking about. But this is the major concept that I want you to understand. Now, support and resistance in itself is a very simple concept, right? But I like to take it to a different level. I like to take support and resistance to a whole new level. So now let's talk about this. So let's say there's a resistance zone, okay? Where, so this is example number A. This is example A. I'm going to give you 2 examples. Now you tell me which one is much better and which one is more stronger. So what happens is price goes up into resistance, price stays here, goes down a little bit, and then slowly price comes down. This is example A. Let's talk about example B. So in example B, what happens is there is again a resistance zone. Price goes up. As soon as the price enters the zone, it suddenly dips all the way down. Now my question to you is, example A and example B, both the examples were of a resistance zone, correct? But my question is, which resistance zone is much stronger? Which resistance zone would you like to trade? The one where the price dipped without any looking back, or the one where the price dipped down slowly and steadily? Now, if you've watched the strength and momentum lecture, I am sure you would select option B. And that, guys, is a very clear-cut sign of strong selling. Now, once again, there are support and resistance zones, but for us to increase the chances of our winning and increase the chances of us winning the trades and being more profitable, we need to identify the stronger support and resistance zones which are going to be respected and which are going to be giving violent moves. Because the violent moves, if they come in our favor, they're going to make us a lot of money very fast. And that's exactly what we're looking for. Because support and resistance, you will find multiple of support and resistance, but we want a support or resistance zone from where we can clearly see that there is a strong buying or selling pressure, because that increases the chance of us being profitable and capturing the right side of the area, right? So let's try to understand how do you find the strong support and resistance zones. So now obviously support and resistance zone cannot just be discovered randomly. You have to look at the historical charts, you have to look at the price history, and you have to understand that how price has reacted to a certain level. And only after that you can identify whether a support is strong enough or not. So let's take an example right here. So if you look at this particular zone, guys, look at the support zone. So what is very important for you to understand when you look at historical charts is how did price react from that particular zone when it was there previously. So if you look at this particular zone, what exactly happened here? There was a strong violent up move. What does this indicate? This indicates that there is a very high chance there are violent buyers sitting over there. And then look what happened. Price came down to that support zone, respected the zone, and from there it has not stopped. This is what we want to look at. This is what we want to find. So if you want to take support and resistance to another level, take this golden tip of mine, which I have understood and I have mastered after 6 years of trading journey, which is whenever you're looking at a support zone, whenever you're looking at a resistance zone, always look for a violent move. Because if there's a violent move from that level, okay, let me give you another example. So can we call this a resistance? Yes, price came down from there. But what happened? Was the move violent? No, the price came down slow and steadily. What does this indicate? This indicates that the selling is there, but it's not violent. Maybe the sellers are not in control. Maybe the sellers are not strong enough. Later, what happened when the price approached the resistance zone? It just broke off without any problems. So support and resistance can be a very useful concept, but you need to understand how to identify a strong support, how to identify a weak support or a resistance zone, because that is going to help you understand how to not get into the bad trades, how to identify the right and the perfect trades. Let me give you another example. So we've got a small support zone here, right? What happened from here? If you look at this, there was a violent up move, right? There was a violent up move, not violent compared to the entire other area, but if you look at the way the price behaved from there, it was an up thrust. Whenever the prices come back down to this particular zone, it has respected the price. So this is exactly what I am talking about. Now, a lot of people like to call this order block, supply zone, whatever zone. It doesn't matter. What matters is it works and it makes you money. Doesn't matter whatever the hell you call it, right? So this is something that has helped me master support and resistance zones. So guys, I want you to practice. I want you to every single day until you get the hang of it, draw 10 supports and a resistance on the charts, and they should be strong support and resistance zones. They should not be weak support and resistance zones. So all you have to do is, first of all, the very simple factor of identifying a support or a resistance is to check if price has reversed from that level, or if price has touched that level more than once. If the price has touched a certain level more than once, that clearly shows that there are buyers or sellers sitting at that level to push that price from that level, right? But to find and identify a strong support and a resistance zone, you need to identify a zone from where a violent move has taken place, because only a violent move is going to give us another violent move and is going to give us confidence. Because see guys, if there was a weak move from a support or a resistance zone, that possibly means that there might be another weak move, or there might be a possibility that the support or resistance is broken, and that's not where we want to be. But if you mark a support or a resistance where the move was very violent, there's a chance that the price is going to respect that zone again and not give us a slow and steady move. Once again, there's always a possibility, but it is best to place ourselves in the odds where we are positioned to win. And this is the number one trick. This is the number one tactic that I follow of marking out only the zones from where we have seen a violent move, because that clearly shows the sign of present active buyers and sellers in that particular region. Now quickly, before we finish this lecture, support and resistance, when they break, whenever a support or resistance breaks, it turns into the counterpart. So if there's a support and let's say for whatever reason the support breaks, the price will take resistance. So whenever a support breaks, it turns into a resistance zone, and vice versa. Whenever a resistance zone breaks, it turns into a support region. So let me find you an example. So here we go. So look at this. So this used to be a resistance, right? The price was taking resistance from here. The resistance broke. The resistance then turned into a support region. And whenever the support region breaks, it turns into a resistance. Here is your perfect example. So this was a support region, right? The price tried coming here, went down. Price tried coming here, went down. We can find better examples as well, but this is in the most simplest language. This is how it works. So let me find some more examples for you. So here we go. We've got a support region here, right? Price was taking support, price was going up whenever it was touching. Price broke the support, took resistance, and then went down. So just to keep in mind, you are not going to use this concept a lot because we've got better concepts coming ahead. But I just wanted to keep this in mind as a side note. But the major focus should always be to find zones from where we have seen violent moves, because this is going to truly help you. And also one more thing, guys, you need to practice, you need to implement whatever I'm teaching you here, because the concepts I'm teaching you, they're non-bullshit concepts, right? These are concepts that I have realized and I have understood and I have figured out after years and years of hard work and training into the markets, right? But you will only master them only if you practice on the charts, spend hours and hours on the charts. That is something that you have to do. I cannot do it for you. The best I can do is share my knowledge and the refined, filtered knowledge of years of hard work. I'll see you.